This is Park Sam. Welcome to this episode of the Living Wicked Abroad show. I hope you can see me. Um, what we're going to try and do today is discuss Happy New Year for 2026 and see what it can bring for you. Cyprus, for expats, is a great place to be living and working abroad. So consider uh, how it can work for you. So we're going to cover some things quickly in this episode of the Living Working Abroad show. And if you're interested and if you're looking forward to moving on with that, then contact us at propartnership.com. We're for free reviews to expats living and working abroad. Relocate to Cyprus for property, investment, um, business, tax, family, lifestyle reasons, and all of those are good reasons to join Cyprus as an EU country that is an ideal place to develop your business. Let's have a look at some of the big things happening in Cyprus this year. The Cyprus president will tell you that Cyprus is going to join the Schengen zone this year. That's the intention. The great fanfare, Cyprus president is the lead on the EU Council. In the December meeting of 25, they didn't discuss Cyprus joining the Schengen zone because it wasn't on the agenda. That Cyprus have done all the technical issues. There's one big issue to resolve. If the president can get that sorted in 2026, then yes, Cyprus could join the Schengen zone by the end of the year, by the December 26th council meeting. But that requires a settlement of the border. So it needs a hard border with proper border controls outside the EU across Cyprus, or it needs a resolution with the north side and the various parties. That might come about with the aid of Donald Trump. NATO, Cyprus is an associate member of NATO now. Uh, Turkey are NATO members. They should be able to get it together. So can they do that this year? Is there will they be able to do it? We will see in the year ahead. For more information and guidance, contact us at projectpartnership.com. If Cyprus did join the Schengen zone, which as an EU member is obligated to do so, that would open up the freedom of travel. You can still travel with passports and entry visas, but you can't do the freedom of movement with just the ID cards, which the EU Schengen zone allows. If you've got permanent residency in Cyprus, therefore, or any sort of residency in Cyprus, you've also got that access to the rest of the EU as well. This is what counts. So why would you choose Cyprus over another EU location? Not necessarily. What you look for is a combination of the living and working environment. So there's other jurisdictions as well, but today we're focusing on Cyprus as a choice. Many jurisdictions around the world offer a permanent residency option straight away. What is permanent residency? It's citizenship without a passport, effectively. So if you're a permanent resident in an EU country or in Cyprus, it gives us freedom of movement in and out of the country, in and out of the EU. If Cyprus is in the Schengen zone, that will give the full barrel full of EU membership rights. You can buy a permanent residency if you want, if it fits in with your tax planning, and it could well do. For example, Cyprus companies no capital gains tax on shares, dividends tax is very low or nil, so there's lots of ways of benefiting and avoiding inheritance tax, capital gains tax, and dividend taxes on your income by investing in that. You don't need permanent residency straight away, but it might be attractive to you if you're an international business or international traveller, or you've got family and interests elsewhere. If you buy a property for more than £300,000, euros, sorry, if you buy a property for more than €300,000, you can get permanent residency straight away. So contact us at propartnership.com and we can help you and guide you through that. We're not estate agents, but there are people that will sell you properties, and we can look on that, get that work done, and then move forward from there. And to get your residency permit, your tax residency, and get your business set up, and protect your family and business assets and investments and property from inheritance tax, capital gains tax, and income taxes. For more information and guidance, contact us at propartnership.com. UK is not in the EU, and so freedom of movement, any EU citizen can come and live and work in another EU country, including Cyprus. But if you're non-EU, then you do need a work permit. And a UK citizen can't automatically come into Cyprus and set up and work for a local employer. It just doesn't work. Now there are some exceptions with high specialist skill businesses, but putting that to one side at the moment. Another option that a British person has got is that if you work remotely, you could be working around the corner. But if you're a digital nomad that could work in another country, you could choose Cyprus for the climate, for the people, for the lifestyle, and for the taxes, and work as a digital nomad. So if you've got an employer that allows you to work in Cyprus, but that employer is anywhere else but Cyprus, then you can do lots of weird and wonderful things. You've got to have a minimum income of £3,000 or €3,500. You've got to have some accommodation and a residency permit in Cyprus. But again, we can get that if you've got that income and to work as a digital nomad. So officially, a digital nomad can work, even if it's a UK citizen, for up to 3 years in Cyprus. But what you then do is you can enjoy low tax. If you've got some pension income and you're digitally remote working, your pension income is only going to be 5%. There's no capital gains tax. So if you're taking shares or selling, cashing out investments, no capital gains tax in Cyprus. But best of all is if you're working remotely as a digital nomad, then potentially you could be paying no tax for that work that's done abroad during the time in Cyprus. There are other types of work with specialist work where you're doing a first time employment in Cyprus. If you've got a right to work as an EU national or as a very specialised skill, you can get up to 50% discount on your income tax for 10 years or more. So it can work very, very well. So Cyprus as a location for EU expats or for UK expats or non-EU or digital nomads is a great place to be. If all you've got is pension income and investment income, you can come and live and work in Cyprus, live in Cyprus and own property and have your investments there. Move your asset base away from the UK's 40% inheritance tax, 24% capital gains tax, 47% and 40% dividend tax. Move away from all that and come over to Cyprus to enjoy 0% dividend tax as an expat. But there's even more. Cyprus is very good at doing its budget, and anticipating Santa will be arriving. The budget was passed on the 22nd of December for 2026. The changes come into effect from the 1st of January. The good news and the bad news for companies is that the corporation tax rate has gone up from 12.5% to 15%, but don't make a judgment on that. 15% is still a very competitive rate. What that's based upon, and the people to blame here are the French. OECD in Paris is the base of the international tax agreement and tax planning, and pillar 2 of tax compliance for countries around the world is for them to have a minimum corporation tax of 15%. Now this is the big countries saying we don't want a small, independent, flexible state in the Caribbean or Mediterranean, or Indian Ocean to be capturing our corporate services and taking all our tax revenue away from us. But that is the world order we live in. Okay, so all that you're doing with a Cyprus company now, although your corporation tax is now 15%, it's offset by many other positive features like no capital gains tax, and preferential dividend taxes. Um, but what you're doing there is you're making sure that your company can operate in an internationally compliant company that state. So your tax regime is not going to be blacklisted in any way. If you're operating from a blacklisted state, then your banking, your finance, and your investments will all start to fail, and you'll get more scrutiny from the tax person. So Cyprus is a tax compliant, an acceptable state for any bank or financial institution around the world that you want to operate your investments, your business, and your property empire. So come to Cyprus for that, even with a 15% corporation tax rate, because there's no capital gains tax. Sell the shares, no capital gains tax. What about the dividends? Dividend tax in the budget. And don't forget, the Cypriots are not like the British. They don't freeze allowances. They don't keep putting up taxes. So dividend taxes in Cyprus have gone down again from 17% to 5%. So anybody generating dividends in Cyprus is only going to pay 5% tax on that as a flat rate tax on any amount of dividends. So dividends are not added to income. So if you've got 100,000 dividends, you pay your 5% tax. Um, uh, and that is it. Don't remembering that if you're an expat and you're non-dom and you're receiving dividends from abroad, your tax rate is zero. So non-doms pay 0% tax. Um, Dividends from a Cyprus corporation or a Cyprus tax resident that is domiciled are paying 5%. So it's low for a company. Yes, it's a bit more a corporation tax, but it's also a lot less dividend tax as well. And so you're paying a bit extra corporation tax in your Cyprus company, but those dividends you get from that are not being taxed at 17%. They're now being taxed at just 5%. If you've got a property rental portfolio in Cyprus, there used to be a flat rate tax in addition to everything else at 3%. That has now been reduced from 3% to zero. No more. It doesn't exist. So you might get some income tax on the property rental income, but there isn't a flat rate 3% tax anymore. But, and this is important for tenants as well as landlords, from the 1st of July 2026, it's actually going to be illegal. You're going to be required by law to pay rent by bank transfer if the monthly rent is over 500. One of the way the tax office can't collect in its property rental income on property rental income taxes is if they don't know about the money movement. Cyprus residents, Cyprus citizens are tend to be property asset rich and have a lot of rental income coming in. So that income now has to be paid through a bank to give the tax office the ability to monitor your bank account and actually validate the amount of income that you've got coming through. So landlords and tenants, you need to be paying your property rental in 2026 through the bank, and um, the, there are taxes that the landlord needs to pay from that rental income that need to be monitored and paid regularly. For more help and guidance and information on paying property rental taxes and managing a property portfolio in Cyprus, contact us at proactpartnership.com. There's a new tax in Cyprus. So yes, um, dividend tax has gone down. Yes, say um, rental tax has gone down. There's a new tax on crypto. Now, crypto is generally a capital gains tax, and there's no capital gains tax in Cyprus. But from the 1st of January 2026, there's now a flat rate tax applied to crypto earnings. So if you've got crypto earnings, and so if you're selling out crypto and you're a Cyprus tax resident, you've got a flat rate tax of 8%. There's no indication at the moment that there's any exemption if you're non-dom. So if you're a Cyprus tax resident with crypto um, money, we'll confirm it later on, but at the moment, you need to consider and allow for 8% tax on any realised profits and gains and income from your crypto portfolio starting from the 1st of January. There's a couple of other tweaks that have gone in as well. Like I say, there's no capital gains tax for a corporation, but if you've got a Cyprus company and you've run a business and built it up there, and you have a redundancy or retirement, a termination of employment, you get a gratuity up to 200,000 tax free. So that's another consideration for medium-term tax planning in Cyprus. Contact us for more information and guidance. What's more, the personal allowances have gone up significantly as well. So for many years, the personal allowances in Cyprus have not changed, and now they've changed quite dramatically. So uh, um, if you're living and working in Cyprus, you can earn €22,000, that's £20,000, before you pay any income tax. Income tax then goes to 20% for the next 10,000, 25% for the next 10,000 after that. So you're now up to 42,000 paying 25% tax, as opposed to you're getting up to 42%, 42% in the UK. When you get to 72,000 euros, about £36,000, then you're paying 30% tax here, and over €72,000, £62,000, going to be paying 35%. 35% of the maximum tax rate in Cyprus. So you're significantly below the maximum additional rate in the UK at 45%. But still, you're never going to get up to the high rate level that you would do in the UK at 40%, whether or 42% if your property rental income. So it's significantly lower taxes. So you've got an increased personal allowance. So an expat can have £20,000 or €22,000 of income tax, income free, plus they can get dividends from the overseas at 0% tax, plus they can get 5% tax on the pension. So if you're over 55 and you're still working as a contractor and generating some income from abroad, you can earn that in Cyprus and pay little income tax, or you can earn it from abroad and pay no income tax and only pay 5% on your pension tax. Cyprus is a very, very, very attractive tax location for people living and working abroad, whether you've got your business or your property portfolio or just your investments and your retirement. Cyprus offers those options, as well as offering the climate, um, the international experience of a mix of languages and peoples that come together. You've got drive um, on the left-hand side of the road, which is the right side of the road, depending on which way you look at it. Um, and so it offers a great deal for people as a safe location that should be in the Schengen zone later, but meanwhile offers great EU residency options. For more information and guidance, contact us at poetpartnership.com, where we give you guidance to in purchasing your property, getting your tax residency sorted out from your home country to where you're working, and also tax residency in Cyprus and returns. One last thing, there's been a couple of negatives in this tax update on the Cyprus budget. Corporation tax rate has gone up. There's a new crypto tax that's gone up. there's also a requirement that everybody who's a tax resident in Cyprus over 25, everyone who's a Cyprus tax resident has to complete a tax return each year. So if you're in Cyprus in 2026, you've got an obligation to complete a return for the last tax year if you were in Cyprus in 2025. We can help you with that. To complete your returns, contact us at proactpartnership.com and we'll give you the help and guidance. Existing tax residents and new tax residents over 25 have to complete a return in 2026 for the last year, 2025. Contact us at proactpartnership.com and we'll give you the advice and guidance to manage your investments, your pension and your income tax efficiently and tax effectively. Thanks a lot for listening. We'll see you next time.